now, Radio Flange Goblet is proud to present the After Movie Diner. This episode was sent in to us by a consortium of disgruntled miners who just found out that their white fusion reggae band, Algonquin Hotel, came last place in a Who's Shoes online competition where you match the shoes to the face of the C-grade celebrity. Their bassist, Emile, was so devastated he immediately went out and wrote a solo album about it entitled I'm Standing at the Feet of Despair. And drummer Peter Finchbasket, he kicked a fucking penguin.
Ghouls, goblins, grannies in horrifying eyeshadow and ghastly guests. Welcome to the month of Horrortober on the podcast from the After Movie Diner, where no creepy castle is left unbloodied, where no dark passageway is left unexplored, no night is left unbumped, and no spooky cabin full of voluptuous wenches is left standing. Every week we will be delving deep into the uncharted, foggy bowers of man's domain, pulling out, dusting off, and wiping free of sticky dribble a series of terrifying, pants-soiling, and downright frightful films from the horror genre. There'll be walking corpses, snowbound massacres, angry, deathly policemen, freakish, fanged beasties, and Lawrence Fishburne aplenty. Join us now, dear listener, if ye be strong of heart, commanding of bowel, and firm of buttock, for our dance with the morbid, squalid, maddening, and macabre is now about to begin. You have been warned.
Hello, and thrice more times hello, and welcome to this, the first show of Horrortober 2013. Yes, for the next few weeks we're going to be all horror all the time. We have some fantastic films to review, an incredibly special guest, a series of the usual bunch of bearded weirdo co-hosts, and a competition. So you really won't want to miss a single show, I promise you. So, just a couple of bits of business before we get on with it. Firstly, please, will you head over to www.podcastawards.com and vote for the After Movie Diner in one or more of the categories. Likewise, Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid commentary show, which is our sister show and I also co-host, or any of the friends of the show, such as Schlock Treatment, Profondo Cinema, No Budget Nightmares, Traumatic Cinematic, Nerd Lunch, The Three Black Geeks, etc. Please, vote for them at www.podcastawards.com. It takes but a minute of your time, and every single nomination counts. Shows like this only grow with support from its audience, and this is a free way for you to show your support. So please do help. Please. Secondly, during this month of Horrortober, we are running a competition. We want you, the audience, to send us your scary, funny, innovative, or all three voicemails. Go to www.speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner or our Facebook page, facebook.com/aftermoviediner, and leave us a voicemail. Those that do will not only have their entries played out on the show, but will be entered into a prize draw, which will be announced on the last Horrortober show. So get creative and get spooky. We want to hear from you. Lastly, you can follow our Horrortober viewing, both films we're going to cover and films we're just watching and reviewing, over on our Letterboxd page. Now, Letterboxd is Letterboxd. There is no last E. So the website address for that is letterboxd.com/aftermoviediner/list/Horrortober-2013. Or you could just head to Letterboxd, again, that's Letterboxd without the final E, just the D, gmail.com/aftermoviediner and just go to lists. We review every film we watch on there, and so do thousands of other movie fans. It's a really fun place to drop in and have a look around, so please go ahead and do that. We also want to hear about your horror months and what you're watching, so send us an email at aftermoviediner@gmail.com. We've had loads of great suggestions over on the Facebook page. I'd like you to keep those coming as well. Stay active and keep informed as well over on facebook.com/aftermoviediner. So thanks for listening, all the best, and enjoy the show. Trick or treat!
Hello and welcome to this week's After Movie Diner. It's the first episode of our Horror-tober month. We are outside at a local diner. We are currently checking what we want in the menus and deciding what we want for lunch. And I'm here with our once-a-year regular guest as he makes his annual sojourn into New York City. And that is Dr. Malcolm Fisher. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon to you. I hope you're all well.
And now here comes the awkward part of the show where we pick what we're eating. What diner are we in? Oh, we're in the Gracie Muse Diner. What do you think, sir?
The challenge at this point before any long flight is to try and find whatever food is going to cause the maximum amount of wind.
Yes, that's true. You are flying out this evening. Another reason why we are recording while we're eating. I think if you want something to make you ultimately windy, I think either the chili or some form of Mexican wrap would be ideal.
Yes.
Of course, seafood, of course. Nothing quite like real bowel issues to really clear an aisle of a plane.
Of course.
And seafood is just the food to do it if you want real bowel issues.
Yes, there's nothing like ringing the bell to the air hostess and saying, could I have a glass of wine, please, and two of your finest botulism tablets.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or a large nappy
Yes.
diaper to our American listeners, of which we have three.
Give me a minute, please.
Too much choice, isn't there, sir?
Yes. Far too much.
Why not an omelette? They're often good for passing of the
Good thinking.
passing of the bottom wafts. Often have I had a good hearty trouser cough after a large omelette.
Then I shall peruse the omelette.
Oh, I should mention that the voting for the podcast awards at podcastawards.com is now open and ready for your nomination. And you can write in whatever shows you like, After Movie Diner or Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid commentaries. So please go ahead and do so with all speed. You can only vote once, but you can vote for us in several categories. So please go ahead and do that, everyone who's listening, and we might have a chance.
Look ready now.
Yeah.
What are you having?
Have the meat lovers omelette, please.
Which meat?
The bacon.
Bacon omelette. Potatoes and white toast is okay, or whole wheat
Yeah, that's
toast?
fine.
Any drink?
Yeah, I'm going to have a glass of peanut.
Vinegar juice?
Yeah.
And can I just get the Belgian waffles with strawberries, please?
She's happy to see us.
She is. She's a charming lady. She's got the rapport down. You can hear in the tone of her voice how much she wants to be here today and how much we're going to end up with spittle on our food.
Yeah, she does have the gift of the bag.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just us or whether it's all people in general.
Well, I've been watching her form at other tables, and she's stabbed the guy with enormous eyebrows over there.
Oh, splendid.
Yeah.
With a fork or a knife or a spoon?
No, the pen.
Oh, splendid. In the neck or the eye?
Under the chin.
Interesting choice. Did it penetrate the jawline?
I believe it may have done from the underside, but I didn't see any further protrusions beyond that.
Okay.
I believe by now it may be tickling the larynx.
I see. whose lands?
The guy sat behind him.
Okay. So today's episode, as I said, is the first episode of Horrortober, and we have decided, or we did decide, to cover Nazi zombie films. To wit, we ended up doing Shockwaves, which is a movie from the 70s with Peter Cushing, and the budget C. Thomas Howell, or budget Robert Redford, depending on which way you look at it, and the budget Karen Allen, John Carradine is in there, and a bunch of other people that are instantly forgettable. And the other movie that we covered was, your choice, sir, what was it?
Dead Snow.
Dead Snow, which is a Norwegian film, I believe, from about 3 years ago. Bit of a splash at the Sundance Film Festival, and went on to be quite a success with the IFC distribution group. And so they're the two films we did. And which one did you want to do first, then?
I think probably we need to, and without wanting to ruin what we're about to say, we probably need to see off Shockwaves fairly quickly.
Right. Yes.
Something unknown, something unforeseen, something unspeakable lives below, and it lives to destroy. They have risen.
We created the perfect soldier from cheap hoodlums and thugs, and a good number of pathological murderers and sadists as well. We call them the Toten Corps, the Death Corps. Creatures more horrible than any you can imagine.
From beyond the dead, from beneath the living, from the depths of hell's ocean, everything they touch will die in the deep. Shockwaves.
Give me the flashlight. And we'll be left with nothing but that oil lamp. You don't need it. I need all the help I can get out there. Now let me have it.
Starring the masters of shock, John Carradine and Peter Cushing.
You are indeed very stupid. Now it is too late.
Now the total horror has begun. Now there is no way out. Now the ocean becomes a graveyard. The faster you run, the quicker you die. Because once they were almost human. Shockwaves, the deep end of horror.
It was... okay. It had a certain 70s grindhouse charm for some of it, and it had Peter Cushing for some of it. That is about it. The zombies are... The Nazi zombies are particularly, like, iconically designed. They're kind of cool looking, but not cool acting.
I didn't find them cool looking. I just thought pretty much they were sticking an electric current into Malcolm McDowell.
Right, okay. I mean that they had a certain, like, charming, iconic look to people who like that kind of cheap, low-budget kind of movie making. Ultimately, though, it's a bit of a slow, tedious watch with a lot of people running around in a swamp and not very imaginative zombies kind of tripping about the place and occasionally bobbing up out of the water and not doing anything particularly very scary. The soundtrack starts off kind of awesome and synthish and 70s, but then slowly descends into a non-existent kind of fart and grass pops. That's about it.
If only that they were actually breaking keys on the synthesizer. Thank you, Mother. Breaking keys on the synthesizer as the film went along. So by the end of it, they only had one key left.
And all it made was a sort of...
Yeah, exactly that noise.
Yeah. Similar to that.
Your birthday.
And here we're learning what New Yorkers drivers do, which is they like to honk their horns despite there being a massive amount of traffic in front of them that can't go anywhere, in the belief that honking the horn magically makes other traffic disappear. It doesn't, and therefore they're always disappointed, which leads to frustration and more horn honking. So I apologise if that's what you're hearing in the background, but that's all part of the charm and ambience of this episode. So more thoughts on Shockwave, sir? I get the sense you hated it.
I didn't hate it. There's been bigger wastes of my life that have taken up an hour and a half. At least 4 of them.
Yes. Well, any time spent even with him in the background, any time spent with Piers Morgan is complete and utter.
I've never spent any time with Piers Morgan.
I mean on TV or something.
I've never spent any time with Piers Morgan on TV.
Okay, fair enough.
I've broken 2 TVs in it trying to avoid him. But I've never spent any time with him.
And that was in the Alton branch of Rumbelows.
Yes. With a bat.
With a bat, yeah. Although, was he even on TV when Rumbelows was still a shop?
I don't care.
Anyway, sorry, go back to it. Yes, you've had bigger wastes of time.
Yeah, you got the feeling that they started off with no budget and then they ran out of money.
That's a great quote. Shockwave. They started off with no budget, then they ran out of money.
Which led to a lot of what I imagine the director would have called exposition shots, but in fact were probably just 5-second clips of the cast relaxing between takes and running through a swamp.
It was also monumentally tedious the way that it just made enormous leaps and expected the audience to go with it. For example, the movie starts with a bunch of people on a fishing trawler, presumably somewhere near the Caribbean, although it's never really fully explained where they are. And then all of a sudden the sky goes all yellow, which means that someone found some yellow plastic and wrapped it around the camera for a couple of shots. It then cuts to a nighttime table where they're all sat around the thing going, what's going on, what's going on? I've never seen anything like that before, blah, 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 blah. And kind of going on as if something happened when nothing really happened. And sort of hoping that just by sort of talking about it, we, the audience, would catch up. But it was...
At that point, if they'd had something happen, that would be something they had to live up to for the rest of the movie. Whereas it was, they managed to make sure that, quite frankly, nothing happened consistently all the way through.
Right. If your big effect shot is a yellow lens, or, you really can't go much further down from there. Although they tried. John Carradine is particularly wonderful as the old cantankerous captain. Again, no explanation why he then leaves the boat and washes up dead on the island. No explanation whatsoever, no kills, nothing at all. In the middle of the night, they bump into a large ship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the middle of the night, they bump into a large ship which seemingly rises out of the ocean. And yet the very next morning we find out is really just a kind of square sort of wreckage of something not very interesting. We spend no time figuring out what that is because we've got to get them ashore to a mysterious island that's shown up, which we do by a series of cumbersome shots of them rowing in a boat.
A boat which they would have been the answer to all their prayers, and they subsequently lose for the rest of the film.
Yeah, they forget until the final act of the movie where they left the boat, which is spectacular on their part, I have to say. They rock up on this island. A budget James Caan, or James Can't, as I like to call him, who was in his basketball gear the whole movie. He climbed a tree, saw a tower on a building, and went, "Fly me!" And then they all ran towards the hotel, where they find the gramophone-playing Nazi Peter Cushing with a big scar on his face. Probably the biggest special effect in the whole movie is the scar on Peter Cushing's face. And then the sort of zombies start popping up out of swamps, swimming pools, any kind of watery depth, really.
The occasional hedge.
And the artificial hedge and fence that they have difficulty with.
They don't do fences well.
No, they even though they've just seen the lady go through the gate, they decide to come through the fence.
Yes.
I have to say the setting of it, like finding that abandoned hotel in the Caribbean, was pretty spectacular.
Yes. And that was probably the high point of the film, the locations manager.
It looked evocative.
Evocative? Would we say evocative?
Evocative is
or
probably
would we
the
just
wrong
say
word.
knackered?
Knackered. Yeah, well, what I mean was, is it attempted to be, an interesting locale in which to play out this excessively tedious series of not very interesting murders? That being said, it is a cult classic, and one kind of, you can only put that down to three things. John Carradine.
One would be a spelling mistake.
Yeah. John Carradine, Peter Cushing, and the look of the zombies. Oh, and the poster. I mean, I guess the poster probably sold people on it more than the actual film.
Really? I've failed to see... I can understand the idea of a cult classic. Generally, something in a cult classic has to be either very good or very bad. But a film that leaves you just sat there thinking, toenails have got a bit long, really doesn't fall into that category for me.
Damn it, I have a bug in my water.
We'll rescue it at once. And then give it a good talking to.
No, I know what you mean. I do think that it
For those audience members who wonder why there's been a second silence, the fork of your erstwhile host has just been catapulted onto the trouser, primarily the right trouser, but in the groinal area. And
Luckily,
he's now covered in what he's referring to as syrup.
Yes, so from a bug in my water to syrupy knob. What was I saying?
Shaping up to be a good one, folks.
Yes.
The definition of a cult classic and whether or not this falls into it. Whether it just staggers around it and collapses.
Well, I think it fails to live up to the hype of the poster. But I think people still give it a chance because of they want it to be better. Like, I was watching it, willing it to get good. Like, willing it, please, you've got these amazing right-looking Nazis, you've got all this location, please do, you've got Peter Cushing, please do something resembling something. But no, apparently the only way to get around the island is for lots of B-grade actors who slowly resemble other actors to run around swampy water. And I didn't understand how you have an island, but the island seems to be 90% water.
Yeah, it did resemble a film at one point, and that was the credits.
Right.
Other than that,
They definitely had credits.
They had credits. There were names, people, jobs.
Right.
A list of shame, really.
Yeah. Well, I have to say I was disappointed because although I had seen this when I was much younger, I think I'd remembered it as being a lot cooler, which I think is probably this movie's strength in terms of people 20 years down the line suddenly go, oh yeah, underwater Nazi zombies with Peter Cushing. How can that be a bad film? And then they rewatch it, and they realize it can be a staggeringly bad film.
Yes.
Because Cushing was clearly there to either, well, not to pick up a paycheck, but to have a Caribbean holiday.
Yes.
In between turning up on set, probably 3 sheets to the wind. Everything's lovely, thank you. Turning up on set, 3 sheets to the wind, and saying some very uninspired dialogue.
Yeah, I imagine when they were pitching the film, and anyone who actually hears the description of the film is going to get excited whether or not you decide to just go for zombie Nazis underwater, which is, quite frankly, enough for me. But whether you take the whole plot together and consider it a reworking of The Tempest, only with Prospero being a Nazi commandant.
Right.
Minor changes.
Look at that right there. You're getting all educated on it.
I've always been educated. Don't worry, when I pull in quotes from Hamlet, you're finished with this podcast. No one will listen anymore.
No. People don't want to listen to me anyway. They want to listen to you.
Oh dear. I'll be quiet then.
People have said to me several times, why doesn't Mal have his own show?
The lack of a good microphone and energy.
So yes, disappointing Shockwaves. Not quite the addition to our double bill that I hoped it would be. But now one that Mal can at least cross off his list.
Yes, cross off, throw darts at, hope to never stumble across again in a darkened alley.
There's a quite spectacular bit where Peter Cushing is explaining in quite slow, reasonable terms exactly what happened after the war. As far-fetched as it might be, it is the explanation that is true. It is easy to understand, at which point Budget James Caan, or James Caan, turns around and goes, I can't listen to this, it's all mumbled doublespeak or something. And I'm like, it's not doublespeak, it's exactly what happened to the letter.
Yeah, it should be mentioned in all the thrilling positives we've given about this film. The pacing of it is dire.
Yes, we almost fell asleep twice. We almost fell asleep last night. Well, in fact, Mal did fall asleep last night.
Without any trouble at all.
And then when we watched the second half this morning, I was nodding off.
It's all in all a triumph. We've done well there. So you're saying you watched it 20 years ago? This one?
More or less.
I think there we have the measure of the human memory, because that would have left an indelible blank on my mind.
Yes. Well, two things to point out. First of all, there is a van driving past right now that says AMD, which is obviously the After Movie Diner. There's one of our trucks. Hello? And secondly, this podcast represents 20 years of me knowing my fellow podcast host for today, Malcolm Fisher.
It has been that long, yes.
It has indeed.
Since those heady days at school.
Yep, so this is somewhat of a celebratory anniversary episode.
It's so much anniversary week, isn't it?
It has been indeed.
Glad funny God!
Jeg regner med at dere små bortskjemte snørrvalper ikke har giddet å lese litt lokalhistorie om området her før dere kommer valsende inn på den helvetes nedtraktoren deres. Under annen verdenskrig så var Øksfjord en utrolig viktig plass for tyskerne. Det var en holdeplass for tyske krigsskip. Folk ble torturert og banket og mishandlet hver eneste dag. Tror meg når jeg sier det. Det her var onde satans jævla.
Se her da. Fortune and glory, kid.
Ja, den der. Kom oss til bilen.
Ikke bli bitt. Du rekker meg om jeg har, ikke sant?
Sorry's created it's on the beach.
So, with that, why don't you, sir, talk us through Dead Snow?
Dead Snow, well, as John mentioned briefly beforehand, it's a Norwegian Nazi zombie film. It concerns a group of medical students who go out to a cabin for the weekend. Sounding familiar? Yes.
Yes.
This cabin is in the snow, hence the title. And as they arrive, or most of them arrive, they start to realise that there's other things around, including a loopy old man who wanders in and gives a very slow and very ominous warning.
People are going to be mad at me because I've forgotten the name of the guy, but he's clearly a famous Norwegian actor. Sven Blomqvist or something.
Stig Brøndby. I don't know.
Anyway, carry on.
Yes, gives them a chilling warning in between coffee and cigarettes of the danger that greets them out there in the snow before heading out into the snow and getting slaughtered.
Right.
The students then, in a variety of entertaining ways, decide to battle said zombies. Some of them with greater success, and some of them with, well, yeah, no success at all.
Yep. It's sort of Evil Dead meets Brain Dead, or Dead Alive if you're in America, coupled with Norwegian madness.
Yeah, they've got a spectacularly good level of gore.
Oh, the Brain Dead levels of gore. I mean, ridiculous amounts of gore. Brain matter splattered from left to right and all over the screen at one point.
Yeah, limbs flying everywhere.
There are limbs. There's a chainsaw. There's a fantastic chainsaw sequence featuring what we believe to be a Norwegian Christmas rock song. We're not quite sure if that's what it is, but it's certainly upbeat and jolly.
Tenkte at det her måtte feires, så sprang ned og kjøpte meg en hel kasse øl. Jeg vakla meg frem imot kassa, da hørte jeg fanfare og et jævla høyt brøl. Det stod Rølien Søe og Halvor Flatland og hele Oslo Gospelkor. De hyla og bar seg og kyssa og klemt meg. Jeg var kunde nummer 10 million. Det min dag I dag. Herregud, for en herlig dag. Det min dag I dag. Det min dag I dag. Herregud, for en herlig dag. Det min dag. Min dag I dag.
If anyone can provide us with a translation, that'd be great.
It would be great. What else is there? Oh, well, there's the gold, the Nazi gold that they're trying to get back. That's kind of the impetus for these particular Walking Deadites to get back to the cabin.
Yes, they want their money back.
They do.
There's a very good snowmobile sequence.
Oh, yeah. He's a mean snowmobiler, this chap. I mean, it's got a bit of everything, hasn't it, really? It's exactly what a 90-minute nonsense gore fest should be. It never, at any point, tries to get even remotely intellectual, and it piles on the entertainment tenfold.
And it's got a good sense of humour running behind it.
Of course. Wonderful special effect.
Yeah.
Considering a lot of it was apparently filmed in a studio with green screen behind it, it edits together seamlessly and looks very good. I can't exactly tell how good the actors are because obviously they're speaking Norwegian, but they seem bloody good to me.
I thought they did rather well.
It is, for me, it wasn't scary in the slightest, but then neither was Shockwave. But it did have the requisite entertainment level for me. And I would say that, along with things like Wreck and a couple of others, which I can't think off the top of my head right now, Europe seems to be the place that is making some excellent horror this last decade or so.
Yeah, it was very effective. It made me tense, made me clench, and then made me laugh, which is a dangerous combination.
It was certainly atmospheric. I can't say that there was a couple of jumps, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't
the first one.
Yes, it wasn't overly scary, but there were some jumps, and that's always fun. The zombies look great. Terrific makeup on them. Plenty of violence, plenty of running around. I mean, the usual nonsensical, should we stay here, should we split, should we run this way, should we run that way kind of debates go on. But that's kind of part of the course of these things. A hilarious scene where he manages to set fire to the cabin.
Yes,
with a Molotov cocktail, which had me hooting quite derisively. And I quite enjoyed the, as you did, the zombie on the back of the snowmobile meeting his match. That
just needs to be watched.
Yeah, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. All in all, energetic, thrilling, gory, spectacular gory. What's one of your favourite gory deaths?
It's probably for one of the zombies where he's chainsawed, and then is chainsawed repeatedly for approximately a minute and a half,
right,
while they try and make absolutely sure that running a chainsaw through the middle of said zombie might just finish him off.
Yeah. I quite like the repeated use of various parts of the snowmobile to kill said zombie.
That was good. Yeah.
I mean, in the climactic battle bit, where he had his arm in the engine at one point, he drove over his face at another point, it was all good. What else can we say? I mean, are there any negative points about the film?
A couple of bits of obvious green screen, but I can't think of anything too nasty to say about it. I may have got all my vitriol out with shockwaves.
Yeah, I mean, it may be that for some watching it, the fact that they have a horror movie nerd as one of the group, the fact that he wears a Brain Dead t-shirt, and the fact that he references Evil Dead and stuff, might be a little bit of over-egging the pudding for some horror fans. I personally found it kind of charming, because it was like a Norwegian guy, and he reminded me of Philip, although Philip is Swedish, and he might hate me calling him Norwegian, but I'm just saying he did remind me of Philip, the way he was talking. Hello, Philip O'Neill, my one Swedish listener. Clearly you've not been telling any of your friends or family about the show, otherwise I'd have more than one Swedish listener.
Lovely to meet you, Philip.
However, I enjoyed that and thought it was very fun, but some people might find that annoying. It had a sort of... Well, I don't know if it was as silly as Eli Roth's Cabin Fever, but it certainly had that kind of gore humour hybrid thing going on.
Well, as someone who hasn't seen Cabin Fever, I'd have to agree.
Okay. I don't know what else to say about it. It was just a good old time.
Then enjoy it, buy it. It's a very good laugh.
So, in terms of zombie films now, what others have you seen? Not just Nazi zombies, but zombies in general.
You put me on the spot now, knowing full well that your listeners are zombie connoisseurs.
Not really. Well, Jeff, but no one else.
Well, Jeff, I hope you're not too upset. I'm struggling to think. I was obviously thinking of the Knights of the Living Dead and
the Knights of the Living Dead?
Yes. Full armour, with zombies.
I have to look that up because I bet that's been made.
Probably.
That's pretty bloody good though.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've seen out the Shaun of the Dead, all populist stuff. I can't profess any grades.
Did you see Dawn of the Dead, the original?
Yes, I think so. I think you showed it to me many years ago. At some point in the last 20 years.
Yes, indeed. Did you see the remake? Not so good.
No, I haven't seen the remake.
Good. Congratulations. Never seen.
Oh, you and I generally share opinions on remakes.
Yes. Did you see Day of the Dead, the one where they're in the underground missile silo?
It sounds familiar, but I couldn't talk about it with any authority.
Okay. So you're not particularly a fan of the genre?
No, I wouldn't watch a film because it's a zombie film. On the other hand, if there's a DVD in the rack which has the tagline "Eins, zwei, die," which Dead Snow does, I'm buying it.
Well, I agree.
And looking around for a special edition box set.
Yeah, I just thought it was rather fantastic that you came to me with that one. Although I owned it already and had every intention of seeing it, I was quite pleased that you came to me with it, as I was like, oh great, I know what we can pair with that. I remember this great film Shockwaves. One of my startling blundering errors. So what would be, as it's Horror-tober, what would be your top 5 horror films?
Oh wow, completely unprepared for this thing.
Don't worry, take your time.
Dead Snow's in there, because very rarely has a horror film made me laugh so long and hard. I realise that's not the point, but I like to break up the action that's involved.
Right. I don't imagine you scare easily with movies.
Original Halloween.
Good one?
Has to be. Terrified the crap out of me. One that I've seen a long time ago, and I think I was about 12 and therefore terrified, and haven't seen it since, so it's probably not scary at all, but Salem's Lot.
The original?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, couldn't sleep with the window open for 2 years.
Vampire boy or
Vampire,
whatever.
yeah, something like that. I don't really remember the details other than don't leave the window open.
Right.
So that's 3. What else can I put in there?
Any of the Hammer horrors? Did you ever see them growing up?
I did, yeah.
Not necessarily in the top 5, but they're good ones.
It's odd for me. Hammer all kind of goes into one big Lee and Cushing love fest.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous to do so, but you don't think of one film.
Right.
You just think of Lee and Cushing.
Yeah, wearing old Victorian clothing and running about the moors of it.
Yeah. So to me, Hammer is an 80, 90-hour film.
Right.
They just tend to swap costumes at points.
Yes. But Lee is always Lee and Cushing is always Cushing. They're always infinitely watchable.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have a similar... I mean, there are some that stand out to me, and some we've covered on the show, and some that we will cover on the show in the future, but yes, I know exactly what you mean and of what you speak. Would you go on now, having seen these 2 diverse films, or different films, would you go on and watch more zombie Nazi horror?
I don't think I'd shy away from it, and those words would normally induce me to watch the film anyway. But I think here we have the dichotomy of the problem, in that if they were all like Dead Snow, yes, I would. A lot of times, absolutely. If they were all like Shockwaves, I would walk very, very quickly away from the genre.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, I don't know why Shockwaves isn't better. It is one of those that sort of... And it's just upsetting, because you watch it, I don't know about you, but I was like, please get better, please, just for the love of God, do something. Even if they had one scene in which a zombie twisted someone's head off and a geyser of blood went, even that would have maybe saved the film.
No, it wouldn't.
Instead of just strangling James Caan in a slightly mouldy swimming pool. In fact, I spent the whole time watching the movie going, ugh, filming this movie must have been horrible. Everyone must have...
The mosquitoes,
the bugs, the snakes, the swamps, everyone must have stank to high heaven, because nobody changes their wardrobe, of course, because they're all meant to have been on this island, having been shipwrecked. Whilst you keep going, hang on a second, you have a dinghy. Where the fuck is it? Why haven't you gotten in it? And then, when they get in the dinghy, I'm like, why didn't you row towards the ship, which we all know is there? Or did the ship sink?
It was never made clear whether or not the ship sank.
No idea what happened with that. I quite like watching the guys playing the zombies trying to crawl out of 3 feet of water and try and look like they'd really leapt up from, like, you know, the depths.
Yes.
When really all they were doing was just sitting up in a puddle.
Yes, and lots of underwater shots where they're going, you're not allowed to breathe, you're not allowed to breathe.
Yeah.
Take 2, what?
No, I mean, I think that at its core I want to give Shockwaves a little bit of a better due, just because they got a bunch of people out to an island and they stuck them underwater in shitty conditions and they filmed a bunch of stuff. But I feel like I need to lay it squarely at the editor and the director. They just didn't ramp it up enough. And I'm not expecting modern filmmaking methods from a movie from the 70s. But come on, we've all seen Dawn of the Dead, we've all seen Lucio Fulci's Zombie, we've all seen a ton of films that really managed to do the genre justice in that decade, so Shockwave really has no excuse.
Yep, agreed wholeheartedly there. Yeah, when I watch a film and it turns out to be terrible, occasionally I like to think, well, if I watched it again, maybe I'd see more in it, or I'd understand a bit more of what was planned and what was going on. In this case, it was so bland, you got everything immediately.
Yeah, thank you.
And there was nothing more to get. If I watched it again, I'd cry.
Or fall asleep.
Crying.
But no, Dead Snow is fantastic. I feel like we shortchanged people on that one, but I don't know what else to say about it. I like the obsession with intestines. It's good. Lots of intestine
a lot
gags.
of intestines flying around.
I'm telling you, they charge there.
Strapping intestines to trees, hanging off the edge of a cliff with intestines.
And see if you can spot the clever communist reference in there.
Oh, that's fantastic. I did enjoy that. Yeah. That was a really good one. Just that whole sequence with the guy with the axe and him with the chainsaw, just tremendous.
Yeah, it's difficult to say much more about it without giving away what's good about it.
Right.
You can make various toilet jokes, I guess.
Yeah, that's a surprising scene. That's a very surprising scene. It's not only surprising because normally in a movie, someone like that movie nerd wouldn't get any play at all. Certainly wouldn't get play from what was legitimately the most attractive woman in the movie.
Yes.
And thirdly, I've not seen before, although it is to be expected maybe from some of the northern European countries, something that was quite so sexually and fecally obsessed.
Well, as someone from a northern European country, I might take a little bit of offence to that.
What northern European country?
The UK is a northern European country.
You know what I mean. I mean Norway and Sweden and Finland and, you know, what was East Germany. Well, the Germans like food porn, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
They like the Scheisse movies.
Yeah, of course they do.
Right, so I'm just saying, I'm extending East Germany up towards the fjords of Norway.
Let's just say I never expected the smell to be an aphrodisiac.
No. And I'm not even sure if he'd probably wiped.
Just taking a mouthful of food.
Yeah. I wonder how, like after coitus, you sort of go, well, excuse me, my dear, I must wipe my bunghole. I'm not quite sure how you do that and still get away with the... And then, it's just the whole thing goes from bad to worse. I don't want to spoil it, but my goodness. I mean, it was original. I enjoyed it. It was certainly... it was a nice stomach-churning bit. I always like that.
But certainly probably the eeriest scenes were in the toilet.
Yeah. I'm not sure I could stay at a cabin up a mountain that still had an outhouse. The idea of creeping to the bathroom in the middle of the night when one is caught short in, 3 feet of snow or whatever does not sound appealing.
Well, I've never done it, but I imagine it has its attractions.
I've never used an outhouse. I think I've used a chemical toilet, but not an outhouse.
I'm still eating, you're right.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I didn't tell you what I've used it for.
Still eating.
I've worn it on my head as a hat.
You are just out there now going, I need to think of something that doesn't involve a toilet.
I am sat here thinking
it's a toilet.
Yeah, I know.
Look at that van. It's a toilet. Hold it together. You can get it.
I'm getting a strange sense of deja vu as I'm pretty sure a truck with the word Madanzas has driven past us 14 times.
Do you think they're watching us?
Or maybe they're just going round and round in circles.
Maybe they're recording us, which would be kind of pointless, even though we're recording us.
We're recording us, yeah. And therefore this will be available live for everyone to hear. Generally, what is Mal going to do for a Halloween? What is a typical Mal Halloween, or a Maloween, if you like? Yeah.
This Halloween I'll be away, but for the most part, I would say costume party. If you remember the days when you used to live in the UK and the Rutland Avenue events that we used to have.
You used to come as Lurch?
I have been there as Lurch, yeah.
What other costumes? What other costumes did you have then?
I don't remember. This was 20 years ago. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. About 10 years ago.
It's within the last 20 years.
It was within the last... Jesus, even that was like 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, we have better beards now.
True. We are definitely better bearded. I'm trying to think what other costumes. I came as Ash. The boys from 179 came as the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy, which respectively. What up, Ben, Craig, and Matt?
I remember Ben scaring the crap out of someone dressed as Mike Myers.
Yes, that was when we went down to the Union.
Yep.
That was you, me, and Hilda, I believe, was there.
Yeah, probably.
I remember Tonos showing up to one of our parties dressed as Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, that's what he was doing. I thought he was doing Brian May.
Brian May in
that would make more sense.
Although he wore a rather, what shall we say, sheer posing pouch that left very, very little to the imagination.
Which is why I didn't ask him what his costume was and just assumed it was Brian May.
Even less to the imagination, when I believe, in the middle of a lark, he actually pulled his thumbs out.
Splendid.
But that's Tonos, class all over. Yeah, we had some cracking parties back in the day. Halloween is my favourite holiday of the whole year.
I prefer the Maldives or, somewhere warm.
Right. No, I didn't mean holiday destination. I meant holiday as in public holiday.
It's a public holiday?
No, but you know what I mean, as in a thing that is celebrated by the public.
So right to my boss. I'm sorry, I'm taking the day off so that I can wear fangs.
Yes. Oh, why not?
No, I'm going to.
It's a good idea. Would you wear anything else but fangs?
No, just a lot of fangs.
Nice. Well, fangs, but no fangs. I won't be joining in with that. Yeah, I think that's all we've got, really. I mean, do you feel like we've got anything else?
I think you're right in that we've sold Dead Snow short in that. All we can do is go, it's really good.
It's entertaining. It's pure entertainment.
Can't talk about it much because we're going to blow it for lots of people. It's good entertainment.
It is very good entertainment. And don't worry about the subtitles. Just go in both feet forward and you'll enjoy it. People have a tendency to worry about subtitles too much. Especially in horror movies, it hardly matters. It's mostly people going, we should go this way. No, let's go this way. It's mostly what it is.
And they don't bother with subtitles for the swearing.
No. There is a wonderful Twister scene as well, which I thought was particularly enjoyable.
Oh, yes.
Where they're playing Twister.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't see the point of this game. And then something happens.
Now I do.
Yeah, wonderful. And a gung-ho cast. I mean, a really gung-ho cast, considering every single one of them winds up doused head to toe in Caro syrup blood. What must have been fairly close to zero, if not sub-zero temperatures.
Yep, they were going for it.
Yeah. Even Stig Bergensen, or whoever the old man was, who was Sturf Borgenstein, or I don't know, whatever it was. He was terrific, though.
He was great.
Right old bastard.
Yeah.
She was like, is the coffee good? He was like, no.
The coffee is rubbish.
The coffee's rubbish, and you're all spoiled tarts, and you're all going to die. Stop laughing at me. What he didn't realise was that he was going to be the first to go.
He really made you believe that the coffee was rubbish.
He really did.
Yeah.
He really did from start to finish. Any reflection on the 20 years, sir? Without getting mawkish or sentimental.
Oh, Well, we've managed to do 20 years without being mawkish or sentimental,
Yep.
which has probably led to the success of the friendship.
And without killing each other.
We've avoided killing each other, although
it's been close.
It's been close on a couple of occasions, and now there's usually about 3,000 miles between us. It's a little easier to avoid throwing stakes.
It is a little easier to avoid picking up heavy objects and distributing them about your head and neck.
Yes. So, all in all, a triumph.
Yes. High points?
Indeed, there have been.
Although none leap to mind right now. I think completing GoldenEye last time you were here was a spectacular high point. I know it's a recent one, but I enjoyed that immensely.
One of the things we really made the most of.
Me beating you at baseball last night was, although to be fair, you were half asleep.
And that was one game out of 12.
Out of 12.
There's one game out of 12.
Where you scored a total of something like 128 runs over 12 games.
What can I say? I'm talented.
I think those old recording sessions where we used to just play guitar and make up silly versions of famous songs were possibly my happiest times.
The French Holiday?
The French Holiday was spectacular. Yeah. Obviously, our wonderful rendition of the Wheelchair Rock could not be underestimated, the sheer power of that.
Dear listeners, never ask for that one.
I was trying to remember the lyrics the other night.
And I'm not going to sing them while there's something recording on.
Something about electroshock therapy. I mean, it was pretty all over the place.
It was unpleasant, discriminatory, and a lot of fun.
It was. While the other kids could walk and run, I thought that lying on my back was
tremendously fun, yes.
Yeah. It was one of those classy songs.
Yeah.
About a cripple.
Yes.
It was really good.
We were very sympathetic. The Art House movie on the ferry was a good one.
Art House movie on the ferry?
Remember we shot an Art House movie on the ferry on the way back?
Oh yes, the French movie we did on the ferry. That was spectacular. Yes. I enjoyed that knowing. Wales, I mean, we've not had a bad... I mean, really, has there been a bad time?
No,
it's really been a bad time.
We every time we do a bad time.
No, every time we get together, we tend to trash things. Vomiters tends to happen. Loud and obnoxious swearing and general knees-uppery. It tends to be our style.
We do it well.
We do. So, no, it was a pleasure, sir. It was a pleasure. And it was wonderful to have you on the show again.
It's been great to be here. There's been a wonderful feeling of the traditional level of weirdness we generally go through, in that over your right shoulder I've been staring for the last 20 minutes at the European Wax Centre.
Yep.
That's given it the right kind of pitch for me.
It has. That's been perfect. And someone did request the other day, having sat down and watched our Skyfall episode on YouTube.
Good.
Which is the first and currently last visual episode of the After Movie Diner, that we do more of those.
Is it something to do with the hats, or...?
I think they enjoyed the hats, but I think they also just enjoyed seeing us and, getting to know us better. Yeah.
Who is this person?
No idea.
Okay, right.
Well. It's on Twitter, they don't give their real names.
Right. I do. Is that a mistake?
Probably.
I would think so, yes.
I think it was like Bingus Mingus the Third or something. I have no idea who it was.
Oh, him.
Yeah.
Right.
It was Eric Stoltz. That's it.
It was Eric Stoltz, naturally. Everything good, thank you?
Yes, everything's great. Thank you very much. Are we all done, sir?
It very much looks like it.
Yes, just to check then, please. Thank you. And we've managed to squeeze it out to an hour long. Splendid.
If it felt like we were trying to drag it on, we were.
We were.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming in the diner, sir. And we'll have to do another video episode when your TV isn't crashing every time it tries to run Skype.
Oh, I'll be rid of that TV very soon.
Good. When you have your new one, let us know and let us do another video episode.
We shall, just to keep one person unhappy on Twitter.
Yes. Well, that's what it's all about. You keep your one listener happy, and then someday you may have...
You told me you had thousands, that we were going to make money out of this. You've got one listener?
I think one regular.
You can pay for bloody breakfast.
Okay. That's a fair exchange. Although I don't want other people who have been on the diner to hear that, because I don't normally pay other people. I normally abuse them.
Oh, okay. Right. Yes. Well.
With a pointy stick.
That could also be fun.
And that horn signifies the end of the After Movie Diner. Our first outdoor diner.
Our first outdoor diner. Good night. God bless. And
good night. Not so much of the God bless.
But it was more figurative than a genuine wish.
I understand.
I kind of hope you all do all right and have reasonable success and happiness in what you do. On the other hand, God bless him quicker.
And I hope that most of you fail and I succeed. And I hope that your lives are a notch above miserable, but mostly languish somewhere in the kind of fetid swamps of despair.
Oh, and if you're any of the people walking in front of us yesterday, slowing us down or unable to keep a standard pace, I hope you get crabs.
Yes, and anyone using your phone on a sidewalk when surrounded by other people, go to hell.
Yeah, I think that sums it up with joy, love, and light.
Splendid.
Somewhere waiting for me by a nice warm fire. But I'm up on a mountain or in the works of a tree, trying to help the fascist undead expire. I am a Nazi zombie hunter. It's rough work this man's gotta do. So until I've off some of these goose-stepping corpses, I won't be coming on home to you. I ain't got time for your love. I'm out killing zombies tonight. I ain't got time for your love. I'm battling the undead Third Reich. I am up to my guts when I would rather be holding you tight. Oh, I'm sorry, my dear, but I ain't got time for your love. I'm out killing zombies tonight. Your door, not covered head to toe in intestines. Sadly, part of the work requires putting up with all of that gore. And if you want a job done right, you call the best in. That's me, because I'm a Nazi zombie hunter. There's more out there than you probably guess. So please hold on, my dear, for just a while longer. The answer to if I still love you is yes. But I ain't got no time for your love. I'm out killing zombies tonight. I ain't got time for your love. I'm battling the undead Third Reich. Yeah, I'm up to my guts in guts when I would rather be holding you tight. Well, I'm sorry, my dear, but I ain't got time for your love. I'm out killing zombies tonight. Chainsaw when I'm polishing the tip of my sword. That's right. And I dream of a time when I'm not knee-deep in grime and all these dead nasty fucks are all gored. Well, one day we'll be married and have a home by the sea. But just in case, I'll be fully prepared. You never know when there'll be another zombie outbreak and you might turn. If I cut off your head, then you know that I can, but I won't have time for your love. You'll be a dead zombie promise your heart I'll be holding tight. And I'll keep it in a shoebox at the back of my closet, so for any future loves it'll be out of sight. Yeah, I'll keep it in a shoebox at the back of my closet, so for any future ladies I'm bagging it'll be out of sight.
There are men, and then there are second unit podcast men. The podcast you've just been listening to is part of the Second Unit Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at 2upn.blogspot.com or on Facebook under the Second Unit Podcast Network. Our fantastic list of shows include Drunk on VHS, We Came from the Basement, No Budget Nightmares, The After Movie Diner, Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid, and Bloodbaths and Boomsticks. Take one podcast into the shower. Don't be a blithering idiot, Alan. We can give you the multiple podcast cleansing system all in one place that your hair deserves. Our programming is available across all platforms, from iTunes to Podomatic, TalkShoe to Stitcher, so you have absolutely no excuse. Listen today, and a free naked person of your choice will be shipped from Thailand to your door in a matter of weeks. The Second Unit Podcast Network, bringing you the action and leaving the boring stuff to the other guys. Bloody hell, who does a girl have to blow around here to get a decent beverage?